Hello and welcome to this very, very interesting episode of Open Book Entrepreneur. And I'm so excited because, as I mentioned this few times before, this is one of the subjects that is very, very close to my heart as, being a business owner, being a coach and working with a lot of people. I accidentally actually went into sales as well as part of the process. And this is exactly why we're talking to Jeff today, who is a sales confident architect. So, Jeff, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Oh, sure. Thank you, Tony. First of all, thank you for having me here today. I really appreciate it. I am a sales coach and trainer. I've been in sales for 50 years. And yes, I did say 50 years. And for the last 21 years, I've owned my own company, Jeff Goldberg and Associates. And you wouldn't believe how much I had to pay a marketing guy to come up with that name. And I'm not kidding. Working mostly with professional sales organizations all over the world. Tony, I've worked with companies that you're familiar with, like Cisco Systems, Siemens, Aramark, State Farm, Citibank, companies like that all over the world, training their salespeople to sell more effectively, to prospect more effectively. And I also teach sales managers to manage more effectively. And about 8 months ago, I really switched my focus. Now, I'm not saying I won't still work with those companies, but I'm not actively looking for that business. If they call me up and say, hey, we've got a big check for you, would you like to come train our team? My answer is absolutely yes. But really, my focus today is I'm working with what I call accidental salespeople. And you actually used that term. I'm so happy you did. And to me, an accidental salesperson is a person that did not go into business to sell. Like I'm a professional salesperson for 50 years. That's all I've ever done. Well, sell and manage salespeople. But I'm talking about like coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small business owners. I'll give you an example. Let's say you're a weight loss coach. You help people lose weight. You did not become a weight loss coach because you wanted to sell. You want to help people. You want to serve people. You want to help them look better, live longer, be more attractive, whatever that goal is. But here's the problem. Those people, accidental salespeople, almost always don't like salespeople in general. They don't want to be thought of as a salesperson. They definitely don't want to be pushy or aggressive. They hate asking for money. So here's the problem. If you can't sell, you can't serve. So I created a program called the Sales Confidence Lab, which is a 12-week live program done via Zoom, limited to 20 people at a time, where I take people through the same professional training that I've done for major organizations all over the world, but it's specifically designed for coaches and consultants and accidental salespeople. And I think you can tell I'm excited about it, Tony. I'm an excited guy naturally, but I'm excited about this particular program because the results that the attendees are getting, and I'm right now in the middle of the third time running it. In the first time running it, I got an email from a guy who'd been there just 4 weeks. Remember, it's a 12-week program. And after 4 weeks, he wrote to me, he goes, Jeff, I'm already closing 25% more of the people I'm speaking with, on top of the 10% he was already closing. So I know that this program is working incredibly well. And that's where my entire focus is today. I'm focused on working with coaches and consultants and people like that to help them enroll clients more naturally without being pushy, without being aggressive, without being sleazy or salesy, and in a very natural way. Because what I teach, Tony, is sales is a conversation or series of conversations leading to help the other person choose to do business with you. I don't teach people to pressure. There's no aggressiveness. We don't talk anybody into anything. We don't persuade or convince. I teach people how to have better enrollment conversations so that more people end up doing business with them.
Absolutely. And so what's one tip that you can share with our audience? Obviously, if they're closing, let's say, at very small percentages and they want to increase those sales.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that they need to do is understand this, that it's not about their presentation. You see, most sellers, and I'm even going to call accidental salespeople for the purpose of this conversation. Excuse me. So most people think sales is about convincing and persuading and talking people into things, and it's not. It's simply having great conversations. So what it's absolutely not about is your great presentation skills or your strong closing skills. It's not that at all. In professional sales or accidental sales, sales is about one thing, and that is asking great questions. That's why consultants can be great salespeople, but they're typically not because they don't know how to translate what they do into how to sell. Same thing with coaches. What does a coach do?
Ask
Ask a bunch of
question.
questions.
Yeah.
Yes. As a coach, we find out, as a coach, as a consultant, we ask a bunch of questions to find out what the situation is, what you're trying to accomplish. And then we offer advice and clarity and encouragement and accountability to help you get there. That's all selling is. Selling is about really three things. Number one, asking great questions. You want to be good at selling or enrolling new clients? Learn how to ask better questions. And of course, I teach people how to do that, when to ask the questions, what are the right questions to ask, and all that stuff in the Sales Confidence Lab. The second thing that's important is I'm going to let you guess this one, Tony. If you are going to be a good question asker, what do you have to be as number two?
Well, probably you need a great offer and sorry, great listener.
Yes, you do need a good offer, absolutely, positively. But if you're going to ask great questions, you need to listen to the answers. And most professional salespeople, this is a technical sales training term, by the way, most professional salespeople suck at listening. They're horrible listeners because we salespeople think we get paid to talk. We don't. I get paid to talk. I'm a professional speaker. I get paid to train people. I talk all the time. But when I'm selling, I get paid to ask questions and listen to the answers. And number three, the third thing that all great sellers have to do is they have to be able to tell good stories. And there are two types of stories which are very important. The first one is a story that paints the picture in the other person's mind of them already having your product or your service. So they're seeing themselves already, they're visualizing themselves already driving that new car, getting more sales, whatever we're trying to sell them. The other story is what's called a verbal reference story. And this is interesting. A verbal reference story is a story about somebody else, like you, Mr. or Miss Prospect or company, who did business with me and lived happily ever after. And the reason that story is so important, Tony, is because of the way brain science works. And I'm not a brain scientist or a neurologist or anything like that, but I have studied this a bit and I've spoken to people who really know what they're talking about. When the brain is making a, by the way, what I'm about to tell you is not good and it's not bad and it's not right and it's not wrong. It's just the way it is. When our brain is making a buying decision, we automatically do what's called going to the negative first. We go to the negative. In other words, we think of all the reasons why we shouldn't make the decision. And there's a specific reason we do that. It's to protect ourselves from making bad decisions because we're used to making bad decisions in our life. So when we're making a buying decision, whether it's a low dollar or a high dollar, our brain automatically tells us, what if this goes wrong? What if I hire Jeff Goldberg and my sales don't increase? What if I hire a beauty consultant and I don't look better? What if, what if, what if? So when we tell a story about an other client who was in the similar situation to you and how it worked out happily for them, the brain starts going, oh, I was thinking this might go wrong, but if it worked out for somebody else like me, it may work out for me too. So those are the most important three things that people can take away from this conversation if they want to be better at selling. Learn to ask better questions, learn to be a better listener, and of course I teach that too, and learn to tell great stories. That was a long answer for you. I hope I didn't bore you, Tony.
No, no, no. That was very interesting. And then on top of that, I can see that you're a great speaker as well. So is that something that you actually were born with or you learned?
Um, I believe to a certain extent I was born with it. You may be too young, but years and years ago, there was an actor and his name was Gabby Hayes, Gabby, Gabby Hayes. He was in the old Western movies. And my relatives growing up used to call me Gabby Hayes because I was always a talker. I was always the kid in school who, you never raise your hand, Jeff. You're the class clown. In fact, I'm a stand-up comedian on the side. I actually do stand-up comedy because I don't get enough attention during the week with people listening to me. In evenings and weekends, I need more people. But I was the class clown. I never shut up. I became the president of the student council in eighth grade. I was the president of the sophomore class in high school. I've always been a speaker. I became a professional speaker and joined the National Speakers Association years ago. And for the last 21 years, I've been standing in front of audiences talking about sales training and sales coaching and how to get more appointments with decision makers, how to shorten your sales cycle, and how to close more business more profitably. I will say that I've become better at it over the years because the more you do something, the more you learn, the more you practice. But yeah, I guess I was born with some of the natural characteristics that make a person a good salesperson or a good speaker. And one of them, you can hear the way I'm talking. I'm naturally enthusiastic. This is not a Jeff act. This is just who I am. By the way, that doesn't work for everybody. Just ask my ex-wife. She was kind of, why are you so excited all the time? That's just the way I am. So I think it kind of naturally for me.
Yeah, yeah. And then also another question I wanted to ask, like, why did you decide to work with coaches and consultants?
It's a great question. So, about 10 months ago, I was looking at my age. I'm an old guy. I'm still very healthy and have lots of energy and love what I do, thankfully. But I was a little bit bored because after you do something for 20 years, look, I could go do sales training today with no preparation, and I could do it in my sleep because it's the same thing every single time with minor changes for different industries, but very little. So I was looking for what can I do that would get my juices flowing? What could I do that would get me excited again? And I started looking for where is there a market that I think is underserved and could really use my what I offer. Professional salespeople, there's a ton of sales trainers out there. Of course, none as good as me. No, I'm just kidding, of course. There's lots and lots of people, sales trainers, sales coaches, who are working with corporations. But I thought, you know who? Because look, I'm a coach and I know a lot of coaches, and almost to a person, they suck at selling. Most of them are starving. Now, my coach, I have a coach, not a sales coach, but she does really, really well. She charges more than I do. She's never looking for clients. But most coaches that I run into are starving. And it's not that they're not good coaches, it's just that they don't know how to enroll new clients. So I said to myself, here's a market that I can serve. And that's when I put together the Sales Confidence Lab. I decided to work with coaches and consultants because I felt they really need what I've got.
Great. And if people want to actually find out a little bit more about you, about your courses, how they can do that?
They can go, I have a website, salesconfidencelab.com, SalesConfidencelab.com, Sales Confidence Lab. And by the way, if anybody goes to that page, by the way, they'll see very quickly I'm not a graphic designer. It's not a beautiful page, but it certainly gives all the information about the program, and it gives there's some video testimonials, and it talks about what each week we do. If they decide they are interested in registering, they can use the code Tony, Tony, that's you, Tony 100, and that'll get them $100 off. The next lab is starting, I believe it's June 4th, which I think is a Thursday, and we go from 2 to 4 o'clock Eastern, and then we go 12 weeks in a row. We don't always use the full 2 hours, but we usually do because there's always a training session. And we do, and I don't want to scare anybody, but in many of the sessions, we do role playing. And the difference in the Sales Confidence Lab and normal role playing is when I'm in a company like, let's say, Citibank, and I'm talking to a room full of 20 professional salespeople, and I say, all right, guys, we're going to role play now. Well, they all roll their eyes because they don't want to do it. And then they can't wait till it starts because they like to make fun of each other and tease each other. Well, in the Sales Confidence Lab, we do role playing. So there might be 45 minutes or an hour of training, and then we role play. And there's plenty of time for Q&A. But the difference between the role playing in the lab and with professional salespeople is there's no teasing, there's no making fun of each other. The instructions are don't even give each other feedback. They're just practicing because Tony, I could be the best trainer in the world, but if you don't take it and practice what I've taught you, it's not gonna become part of what you do, and you'll have wasted your money. So instead of hoping that people role play, hoping people take my advice and do what I tell them to do, we're actually doing it in the lab because I'm committed to making sure that anybody who invests time and money with me gets maximum value. That's why I offer a 30-day money back guarantee. Anytime during the first 30 days, which is the first 4 sessions, that somebody goes, I thought this was something else. I don't really want it. Send me an email, say, Jeff, I'd like to cancel. I'm immediately refunding your money. No questions asked. I don't want anybody in this program who isn't getting amazing value out of it. And so far, everybody is. We haven't had any cancellations so far, which I'm very proud of.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's anyone watching us can check the actual links in the description of this episode as well. And yeah, just before we go, Jeff, if there is any question maybe that I didn't ask you, any tip that you would like to share with our audience or any thought?
So, sure. You asked me for a tip before. I'm going to give you now my very best tip. When I'm doing professional training with professional organizations, I save this for almost the last part of the day. And I tell people what I'm about to share with you is the most important thing I teach people who sell. Everything else was important. If you only learn one thing from me today, this is the thing I want you to learn. So, Tony, you sell sometimes, yes?
Yes.
And when you sell, do you know what I'm talking about when I say ghosted? Getting
Yeah,
ghosted?
of course,
Yeah.
yes.
You ever get ghosted?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the ghosted is really when, for example, I'm sort of follow up with a potential client and they never
They
they
don't
never reply. Yeah.
they don't call back, they don't return your emails, nothing. They seemed very interested a couple of weeks ago, and suddenly they become a ghost. So this is what helps you avoid ghosting, and I call it be nasty. Now, I'm not really telling your audience to be nasty people. It's an acronym, BNASTY, be nasty. And what that stands for is the best next action step toward yes. The best next action step toward yes. And here's what that means, Tony. Never, ever leave a meeting or a phone call without setting up the next meeting or phone call right then and there. So if I'm a coach and you're interested in my coaching services, Tony, at the end of our first conversation, the way the typical coach is going to leave it, or the typical consultant, or the typical salesperson is going to leave it, it's going to be something like this. Hey, Tony, you've given me a lot of great information today. Here's what I think we should do. I'm going to go back to my office. I'm going to think about everything we talked about. I'm going to jot some ideas down on paper about how we can increase sales at Tony Co. And I'll give you another call once that's ready. We'll set up another meeting. I'll share my ideas with you. And that way, you'll have all the information you need to make an intelligent decision whenever you're ready. How does that sound to you, Tony? And I promise you, in this example, the Tony always says, sounds good.
Mhm.
Because what did you agree to? You agreed it's okay with you if I go write up a proposal and then I call you. You didn't say you'd necessarily take my call. You didn't say if I got you on the phone, you would give me the other appointment. You just said if you want to write a proposal and call me, be my guest, Jeff. A
Yeah.
better way would be like this. Hey, Tony, this has been a great meeting. You've given me a lot of terrific information. Here's what I want to do. I want to invest some time and think about how we can really increase sales at Tony Co. I'm going to put those ideas on paper, and I'd like to come back and share those ideas with you next Tuesday at 3. How does that sound to you, Tony? Now, if you say that sounds good to you, I know one thing for sure. You're interested because a busy executive like you or me or anybody who's listening to this does not give a salesperson some of their valuable time and then agree to give them more of their valuable time unless they're interested. So when you know they're interested, they're way more likely to show up for the next meeting rather than, yeah, go write a proposal and give me a call. So that's the best tip I have for anybody who has to enroll people, sell people. I don't care whether you call yourself a professional salesperson, an accidental salesperson, a coach, consultant, or anything else. That one is going to make you money, I promise. Not only will it make sure that you're working with interested people, it also shortens your sales cycle. Because think about it this way. Let's say you are interested. You want to see my proposal. But I do it the first way. I don't make an appointment. Now I call you. Do I get you on that first call? No, you're busy. Certainly not during this half hour. I'm not taking any calls. I turned my phone off. I would assume you did too. So somebody could be calling right now, but I'm not taking that call. So probably I'm going to call you up and say, hey, Tony, it's Jeff Goldberg. Got your proposal ready. Give me a call. And if you're interested, you're going to call me back. But I'm not taking calls right now. So probably we're going to trade voicemails back and forth a couple of times. Could be over a couple of days, could be weeks. And then once I finally get you on the phone and we try to set an appointment, two busy people like us, it could be another 2, 3 weeks before we set that appointment. But when I'm talking to you and say, how about if we talk again next week? I've shortened my sales cycle. So that's the best advice I have for anybody who's listening. You want to make more money, always get a best next action step toward yes. Be nasty.
Excellent, Jeff. I love that. And thank you so much for being a guest. Thank you all for watching and listening to this episode. If you liked it, drop us a like, subscribe, and also on top of that, Jeff, it was great having you on, and looking forward to see you again.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Same here.